Nmro Mud Racing. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Lee alongside Army Armstrong. In the winter months, the best of the best move indoors. It's short course racing with very little shutdown area. But when the weather improves, the guys move outside, and boy, can they get it on Army with 200 feet of mud and 600 feet to shut them down.
Well, when they finally get outside, Gary, is when they can really leg the motors. But I got to correct you on something. One of the big guys in this sport is a young lady named Paula Harbuck out of Oklahoma. Now, she's a past indoor national champion. George Gregory shows up from Texas, indoor national champion. He's going to be here. And the current indoor national champion, recently crowned for 1991, Ron Pence, with a truck they call Tater. And they're all tickled to death because they all finally get to really leg them out outdoors.
We're outdoors. We're going mud racing after these messages. They proudly fly their colors here in the Peach State, and the mud will also fly today at Deer Creek Motorsports Park in Franklin, Georgia. So get your best vantage point, 200 feet of mud. We have some high horsepower vehicles coming up today, and perhaps the most popular of classes. Here at Deer Creek, it's the Nmro Open Cut Tire class. Now, one of the most popular drivers is standing by with Army Armstrong.
Gary, you're exactly right. The cut tire division is one of the most popular classes in the sport. And the current world and national champion in that division is a young lady from Tulsa, Oklahoma, Paula Harbuck. Paula, you're on top, and everybody in this sport is loading both barrels and coming after you with everything they have.
That's true. And there's a lot of good trucks out here. I feel confident in my car, confident in my crew chief, Jim, which is my husband. And we're going to give it the best shot we can give and hope we stay on top this year.
You know, the interesting thing about the sport, ladies and gentlemen, is the young lady is #1 in the class, but believe me, nobody's going to be cutting her any slack. Everybody's going to be going after her today.
And we'll be watching Paula Harbuck a bit later and flirting with disaster, but right now it's a look at Garland Walls, the Gambler, a 1990 Power Pro S10 Blazer with a big 530 cubic inch injected with nitrous oxide.
Well, Gary, he's based out of Port Orange, Florida. He comes up #1 in the class. Everybody's going to be watching the track conditions.
Looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, look like driving down a freeway.
Good run on top of the mud, 3.225 for Garland Walls.
Yeah, but Gary, that 530 cubic inch engine making all kind of horsepower with nitrous. Let's see if a 322 with the 5 is going to stay up. The track conditions definitely to his advantage. Look how smooth that is.
No windshield, open face helmet, no visor. That makes for getting dirty and eating a lot of dirt out here. Good run for Garland Walls in the Blazer. He's standing by with Army Armstrong.
322 first out of the box. You got to be tickled with that.
That's real good.
It looked like there almost wasn't any mud out there. You got on top and ran hard.
Ran beautiful. Ran beautiful. Well, it'd been nice if we'd been a little bit faster, but boys are going to get faster behind me.
There's a prognostication. The guys will get faster as we take a look at the rear of the Slickster, Dragster, rear engine, Rick Block out of Vero Beach, Florida. Now notice in the shutoff area, he has very little legroom in this car.
Boy, he's not afraid to drive it out the other end. These guys from Florida are starting to come up with the rear engine combination. He goes to 315. We may be looking at the future of the sport. These rear motors seem to be working for him.
Look at the legroom. He has to be cramped up in that thing.
Well, he only got to stay tightened up for about 3 seconds, Gary.
As the fans look on, the competition continues here. Another roadster, Jeff Ballard, the Port Brothers Express.
He's out of the Bluegrass State. Now, he runs an underslung chassis. Looks like an East Coast modified, if you will. He has to get on top of the mud. He cannot afford to let that chassis get down and get dug in.
He doesn't have the ground clear.
Oh, not at all. Watch this. Port Brothers.
Oh, good run. Excellent run. Look at this time. 299.
Boy, out of Kentucky goes to the head of the class right there.
And that is a course record. A track record here at Deer Creek. Watch him coming right at you. He gets up on top of that mud. As you say, he has to because he has very little ground clearance.
Well, the Port Brothers have been in the sport a long time. It's one of many class championships that they're going after, but the class record's showing it can be done.
Now, and here's Jeff Ballard.
The word we get's a quick, brand new record, 299.
That's great. We was wanting to get in a 2-second bracket. It's a first run on a brand new car.
Well, the underslung chassis, why that?
Well, just a new ideal from a drag racer that built the chassis, and it was his new ideal, and this is something we wanted to try.
Well, it works. You're on top, and they're all coming after you. Good luck.
Thank you.
And coming up next, a very popular entrant, the Mud Shark. This is Mike Ertley out of Buchanan, Michigan. He's come a long way to get dirty here this afternoon.
You know, Mike's been in this sport as long, if not longer, than most of these people. The 299 might be in jeopardy right here. I guarantee you, Mike has gone to school on the class.
Close, but not quite good enough. 3.019 for that Corvette.
0.02 of a second off.
The 64 Corvette funny car with a big 525 Keith Black Hemi engine.
And the track is staying relatively smooth, Gary Lee. Look at that. The replay showing that. Just a little porpoise on the other end.
And here is one of the best looking creations out here. I like the paint job on this one. This is Chemical Reaction. Steve Behrman out of Holland, Michigan.
It's a brand new vehicle, and Steve comes out, even though he's a youngster, he's starting to notice some things. And I want you to notice where he's lining up all the way to his left side of the track. You can still see water laying there. No grooves, no nothing. He's trying to go quicker than a 299 in a 27 Roadster.
His first year in mud racing with the Nmro. Good run, but not quite good enough. 3.171, but still, for a first-year driver, an excellent ride.
Yeah, and he made a real good lane choice. Watch how smooth it is for him here. This kid's going to have a future in the sport. This, like a lot of motorsports, Gary Lee, there's another generation starting to come in here now, and these kids are quick.
There's no powder puff derby in this sport. Here's a gal that drives with the big boys and frequently beats the big boys. We talked to her earlier. Here is Paula Harbuck, Ooligan, Oklahoma, the hometown, and this is flirting with disaster.
She drives a truck in a Qatar category. Her husband serves as crew chief. She is a current national champion on United Sports of America circuit.
Oh, she is flirting with disaster there. 3.116. She had trouble in the shutdown area.
Yeah,
look at the crowd. They started to back away.
I hear they say they were thinking ladies first.
A good crowd on hand here on this hot, humid, sunny afternoon here in Franklin, Georgia. And watch her get in trouble right there. It hooks on her. Look at her saw at that steering wheel trying to hang on.
Tell you what, she's a good driver. She stayed after that rascal.
Well, let's go down and talk once again to Paula Harbuck.
Well, Gary, when we started the class, we said this is the lady everybody's going to be coming after. You can see why. A 3:11 was the time, but you definitely had your hands full.
Yeah, the track got a little squirrely. My truck got sideways, and I thought I was fixing to bite the dust down here.
What about the rest of the field? Is it going to get worse as we go through the night?
It could. There's 2 or 3. There's several others. It's anybody's ball game. There's a lot of good guys left, but the track's really rutting up pretty bad, and it's getting a little hard to drive on the other end. But there's still a lot of good ones out there.
Well, despite having to hang on and sliding to a stop, Paula Harbuck still is in 3rd position. But Jeff Ballard has a new course record with the Fork Brothers Express than Mike Ertley, and then it's Paula Harbuck. More coming your way. Stay tuned. As the shadows start to grow longer here in Franklin, Georgia, we're at the Deer Creek Motorsports Park for the very popular open cut tire class, and we take a look at Stephen Price, and he drives the Great Grand Mudder, Army.
Well, he'll be taking a run down a track that's getting progressively worse as the night goes along. I'm anxious to see the attitude of the vehicle. Sashayed a little bit, but not a bad run as far as ruts go, Gary.
Well, he won't be real happy with a 3.531, though.
Yeah, but he made the track better for people behind him. You got to keep that in mind.
It didn't help him any,
Well,
though.
it didn't help him, but see, everybody behind him's grinning again all of a sudden.
So as he pulls back to the paddock area, coming up next will be Gary Osteen. There's a look at Gary. He's chomping on the chewing gum, a most unique 56 Ford T-Bird.
Yeah, he runs a drive shaft shop down around the Daytona Beach area. He's big into all kinds of racing, so he wants to see what the T-Bird can do for him. 299 is quick time. Man in front of him went straight. Let's see what Gary can do.
Well, he was watching the competition.
Well, the horsepower's there.
Oh, I guess so. He nails the hammer, gets on top of it. A smooth ride at 3.151. A good ride, but still not quick enough because we had that track record earlier.
Well, I tell you, the run looked quicker than a 3:15. Look at this.
Came out of that rut, got on top of the mud.
That's probably one of the heaviest vehicles in the sport right there, Gary.
A who's who of mud racing. George Gregory there in the yellow suit. He's coming up momentarily. There's Paula Harbuck. Let's talk to Gary Olstein.
Well, Gary, as you know, in any kind of motorsport, weight is a very, very important factor. I got a guy coming here right now that is reading a ride act of some of these light vehicles. Gary, this is what I hear is the heaviest vehicle in the class.
It is, sir. We're running 3,053 pounds today.
You also run in 3.15 seconds. That's an awfully quick shot.
That's super good. It's a little bit better than what I thought. I thought we'd be a little bit slower, but this old Ford's paying off.
Well, here comes an interesting vehicle. This is Michael Atkins. This is the dragster Stinger out of Orlando, Florida, rear engine creation.
Gary, what's interesting about Michael, this vehicle held the world record for two-wheel drive. Now, this is a four-wheel drive class, and he's going through the formalities. Yes, he does have a front drive on it. He believes in a tall gear and a lot of RPM with rear-wheel drive only.
Good run, 3.177, and once again, he's relying heavily on the rear drive of this car.
Exactly. The wing on that vehicle, the reason it's there is to push the air down and to push the back of the car down. Notice how the front end basically stays out of the water all the time. See, picks the feet up and just tippy-toes with the front. Rear-wheel drive only.
Good run for Atkins in the dragster. And now the popular Ron Pence comes up. He lets his right foot do all the talking as he drives Tater, a 1976 Chevy Love.
He was just crowned in Lexington, Kentucky, the national indoor champion for 1991. You say the popular, he is popular with everybody except the other top three or top four drivers there.
And he has very little to say in an interview.
Exactly.
Good run, excellent run. Look at this, a new track record, 2.832. You think he'll talk more now that he has the record?
Well, he's popular with the crowd. They're really getting into it. And the other drivers that were in that little circle a minute ago, that's why they were there. They were kind of like Indians. They were circling the wagons to see what Pence was going to do.
Ron Pence has a new track record. Let's see what he has to say about that, Army.
Well, the national record of 281, you go to the head of the field this afternoon with the 283.
Well, that sounds good.
Did it feel good to you?
Felt pretty good, yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question. From my viewpoint, it looked like you backed on the throttle at about three-quarter track.
Is that right? I thought I shifted about then. It may have come down a little bit. The engine may have come down a little bit when I shifted.
Well, very easily it could have been the shift point, but the question at hand right now is everybody's chasing this year's indoor world champion. He's outdoors, and he's on top now. Let's see if we might catch him, Gary.
In the Army, no matter what he does in the racetrack, he still has very little to say. Here's a look at Chad Miller out of Vandalia, Ohio, in the 27 Ford Roadster with the big Rodec power plant. This is instant tea.
Well, when you take horsepower and you take dirt, you take Vandalia, Ohio, you know you're going to see a ride, right? That's big modified country, drag racers big in that area, and of course a lot of sprint cars come out of there.
Well, he won't be broadside here. Oh, he gets in trouble, hits the right side of the racetrack, and that will slow him down to a 3.818.
Yeah, but he cut his teeth on the Ohio philosophy, and that's when you're in trouble, gas it. That's exactly what he did.
Well, he got in trouble, but once again stayed on the throttle, went along that berm, which would be on the right side of the track as he was heading out, straightened her up and got her out and kept her in bounds.
It's going to be one of the most action-packed 200 feet in the world right there.
Couple of cute little gals there, one protecting the ears because it is very noisy here at Deer Creek Park. And as the sun begins to set, it brings a welcome relief from the hot, sticky conditions that we have endured this afternoon as we take a look at the intruder. This is Frank Harlow, Tip City, Ohio.
Yeah, but the track's not really drying out, Gary. As the moisture goes away in this sport, they want to keep it wet. Frank spotted something on the left side of the track that he likes, and I kind of agree with him. The rest of the track looks like it's pretty well gone the way of the Buffaloes. It looks rough out there.
He was the 1990 Co-Rookie of the Year. He gets in trouble immediately.
Now the left side's gone. There's no place on that track I'd want to go now.
Well, he has been disqualified for going out of bounds. He'd like to have that run all over again, I'm sure.
But when he left the starting line, it hooked on him to his right there. See, it actually pulled him back in. He tried to drive out.
He
up
actually
into the berm.
overcorrected
Yeah,
at that
exactly.
point.
But now, man, he has gone left to right, left to right. There's not anything.
Well, he's chewed the track up
Yeah.
now for anybody else that will follow. And speaking of following, Jim Botkins comes up next in his home-built creation called the Exciter.
Gary, he's got a different philosophy on the rear suspension. He runs the independent Corvette rear suspension. Each rear wheel, if you will, has a live axle like the old go-karts in the old days, and he's still trying to prove that that's the way to go. A 283 is a quick time. Let's see if this rear suspension is going to work for him. Whoa!
Oh, no, it didn't work. He broke off the right rear. Listen to the crowd.
He's got a smile on his
Yeah,
face.
it looked like he had a smile on his face.
Well, you know, if you're going to do something like everybody else, you can only be a C, and he's trying to step up, trying to move in a different direction.
And look how muddy he got in there, a short ride. He's going to have to climb out and walk across the mud. How do you get a wrecked car out of this mess?
Well, Gary, I don't know, but this guy's an innovator. He's not interested in doing things like everybody else. And, you know, he tried something. It just didn't work out for him.
He wiped out the entire rear end. Watch this here. There goes the right rear, and there goes the left rear.
Yeah, the rear end just basically collapsed, so he knows that's the way not to go next time.
Expensive experiment, though, as he's here from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We look once again at the Exciter with Jim Botkins in the cockpit. And as he flipped up his visor, we did see a slight smile on his face.
Well, it's almost like a game to Jim. He, like I say, he's not interested in being like everybody else. You know, if it would have worked, Gary, he'd have been a hero.
Hey, I like that Nomex underwear he's displaying down there.
But right now, you notice he's the loneliest man in Franklin, Georgia, because nobody's going out to help him.
Well, what are they going to do? I'm not sure what equipment they have here. They've got a backhoe over there. Maybe they can dig it out.
I'm glad you're saying they, because I sure don't want to go out there.
I want to stay up here in the booth where it's dry and it's clean and tell you that Ron Pence continues to lead with his track record. Jeff Ballard is second, and Mike Erdely is third in the Mud Shark. And we're going to pull that wreck out of there. That's how they're doing it. And we'll come back with more from Franklin, Georgia. Welcome back to Franklin, Georgia. We have now cleared the track, and the Army has caught up with a guy who created that problem down there. Army?
Gary, we're standing with a gentleman who had a little bit of problem a few minutes ago. The rear end looked like it came completely away from the vehicle, Jim. What causes that?
It broke both outer axles. It's got a Corvette rear end, and it's just too late for the motor, really.
So did the horsepower do it or the track do it?
It's just too much horsepower.
Well, it's back to his shop in Fort Lauderdale to put the Exciter back together, and we have Tom Mintz coming up next. And this is the Shake Me, a 32 Ford Roadster with the big Keith Black engine.
Gary, you just said that the fellow was leaving to put the Exciter back together. If you follow this sport, the next two vehicles you're going to see, they are the Exciters. Watch this kid. It's only rock and roll.
Oh, he almost took a nosedive there, but look at that run, 2.935. A good ride for Tom Mintz out of Paxton, Illinois.
Well, Gary, the kid is a natural. The word we get, he just went to the number 2 spot.
Indeed he did. Tom Mintz up to number 2. There is a look at our final competitor out of Tyler, Texas, George Gregory. But right now, let's talk to Tom Mintz. Army?
Well, Sean, it still can be done. The bite's out there with a 293 run. Tom, you definitely got to attack this track, don't you?
Yeah, you got to go hammer down. We got these many people at a national run. You can't let anything left to waste.
So when you left the line a little bit out of shape, there's no doubt in your mind you were still going to drive it out the back door.
No, I hammer down all the way, Army.
Our final competitor will be George Gregory. It will take a track record effort to win it here today. George Gregory out of Tyler, Texas, the new breed, perhaps the most expensive vehicle here. He relies on janky power, and he will need all of it to hook up today to beat 2.832.
He better put his war paint on. That 283 is going to be tough. Not going to do it, Gary.
3.029. That will not be quick enough to take it. So Tater, Ron Pence, the track record, wins it. Tom Mintz is second in Shake Me, and Jeff Ballard third in Pork Brothers Express. And here's Army with the winner.
Well, when the winter season was over, the indoor world champion of the USA circuit, Ron Pence, a vehicle called Tater, and everybody says, hey, we can't wait to get this guy outside. They got a hold of you outside, and you just flat thumped everybody today, Ron.
Yeah, we had a good run there. Things were working right for us. I just hope they keep going okay.
In every race, there's combinations that work. Where is the combination that you found that other guys haven't found yet?
Well, I think it's in the gears and the clutch more than anything. And good running engine, it makes all the difference in the world.
Well, congratulations to you. Great job. And as we wrap up things down here, Gary, the top dog today was a truck named Tater.
Well, you can talk about all the great equipment, but you have to have a good shoe in the cockpit. That indeed he is. Well, our congratulations to Ron Pence. That will wrap it up. It is sunset time in western Georgia. For Army Armstrong, I'm Gary Lee. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week on Trucks and Tractor Power. Now stay tuned for news of an exciting new home video from Diamond P Sports. It's time to shake, battle, and roll. Call 1-800-453-2800 for 70 minutes of awesome air-grabbing rooster tail spring action from the worlds of monster truck racing, truck and tractor pulling, and mud bogging. Relive the great moments of thrilling side-by-side monster truck racing. Feel the ground shake from the raw power of truck and tractor pulling. And get down and dirty as the best mud racers battle the slime for the fastest time. All this incredible action on one video cassette just by calling 1-800-453-2800. That's 1-800-453-2800. Strap up for a ride on the wild side. It's time to shake, battle, and roll.